now to our workshop agenda, which is a code enforcement presentation, discussion, possible action regarding an update on code enforcement activities and initiatives. Mr. Schilling, good morning, good afternoon, I should say good evening. And we do have one speaker signed up on this.
Good evening, Mayor, Council Member, Tommy Schilling, Community Services. Like the Mayor said, I'm here to give you a code enforcement update. Just kind of let you know the goal for code enforcement is to enhance the quality of life. How do we do that? We gain compliance by using our standard operating procedures that we update monthly or whenever need be. We write warnings, letters, phone calls, personal contact, citations, and legal actions. So legal actions are summons to court, citations, or administrative warrants. So we have that capability as well. We usually like 100% compliance for whenever we work these cases, but sometimes we have to take that extra effort to get people to come into compliance. Microphone up a little. Yep, sorry, I'm a little tall, so, okay. So the PowerPoint in front of you, I have the geographical areas. So currently, right now, I have 5 officers. I am a code enforcement officer as well. They are assigned their own areas. We have Area 6, which is Northgate. We currently have 4 code officers out there. We have 2 during the day and 2 at night. So they are able to work all the commercial and enforcement during the day and at night out there at Northgate. We also utilize their availability since they work nights, so they help us with parking citations in the city, and then they help us work code cases at night. Okay, so the photo on the left kind of just tell you what we do, common code violations. So this is a weeds and grass case. At the bottom, it's in compliance. This case right here took 7 days, and the only thing we had to do was make contact with the owner. So that was very successful. The one on the right is accumulation of trash. That one was another door tag, came into compliance within 7 days. Okay. This is a junk vehicle on the left there. That's a Chrysler 300. It doesn't look like much, like it's a real junk vehicle, but we found out that there's a flat tire, the tags were out, and there's no motor. So yeah, we made with a contact with the owner, and they were able to sign a consent to tow. So you can tell at the bottom when we had that towed, and it's on private property, so it took a 30-day process. Okay, the one on the right, that's the South Side neighborhood. That's our trash can violation there. Usually they have to remove their trash can within 12 hours after collection. Sometimes they fail to do that, so we make contact by either leaving door tags, knock on the door, have conversations with them. If we can't get them to come into compliance, then we'll call the management company owner, or we'll seek that administrative action. As you can tell, the one on the bottom there, we were able actually to get that street into compliance. On the left, this is an open storage case. You can actually see that from the public right of way, so we were able to work that. No administrative action taken. Door tag was able to get that taken care of. On the right is the bandit signs. So, you know, these are like weeds and grass. You pluck one, they show up everywhere. So we're proactively checking this city. We make contact with the owner if we can. If we can't, we get it removed. Now, if it's on like a business property, we actually have the ability to write citations, and you can do it per sign. So as of yet, I think we've only wrote one business for that, but usually you get onto them, you can't do it, or we just pull it. So, okay, so additional responsibilities that we do, we manage the long-term rental registration program. So anything over 30 days, you have to be rental registered through our program. The short-term rental permitting process, if you have a short-term rental, Airbnb, VRBO, or whatever, you have to get a permitting through our office. We also do the community living course. So if you receive some kind of citation in the city, so a criminal citation, it could be MIP, open containers, it could be loud party reports, it could be anything. The judge assigns them to the community living course where they come in and get really good information. So how to be a good neighbor, we tell them, hey, these are the common code violations. This is how you avoid getting to talk to me. So hopefully we can get those and get that information out. Greek Life, I get to present to, I got to present to Greek Life over at A&M. That was actually pretty cool. You kind of get that information to the sororities and the fraternities because a lot of them don't know common code violations, and we kind of get that information out. This past year, we had a lot of walk and talks in targeted areas with neighborhood services and off-campus student services. We handed out over 1,200 welcome bags and did a whole bunch of walk and talks and got a lot of that information out to the communities. And then we are currently now working with the off-campus student services with office hours. So if we have any problems with the over-occupancy or any other problems, they can call and talk to me, the assistant director or director of community services, kind of get that information out there as well. Okay, another one is a property maintenance interior and exterior. I do apologize, I kind of mixed up these photos, but if you look at the one on the right, everybody should know that's Krispy Kreme, right? Okay, the one on the left, they're 100% in compliance. It took us a while to get this to come into compliance, but we did not have to seek administrative action, and we were able to get the owner to get that cleaned up. So, also the interior here. So we have a property maintenance interior through, hopefully y'all know about SeaClake Fix. Everybody's a SeaClake Fix user, right? So there's a request on there where, say somebody signs a lease a year in advance and has not looked at that unit, and they move in and there's mold and there's problems in that unit, right? So they can put in an interior property maintenance request. It is blind to the public, and it goes straight to the building official. It goes to the code officer for that area. So that way, if you want to remain anonymous, you can. And as of right now, FY 2024, since we finished that, we've had a total of 80 SeaClake Fix requests for property maintenance interior. Now, I will tell you, out of those 80, there's 5 problematic addresses that we have that are taking up the majority of that 80 SeaClake Fix requests. So that's not 80 individual properties. And you can tell this is kind of some of the things that we run into. That top right photo, that is supposed to be a wall where you can reach the exterior wall from the interior wall. So we currently have a open code case on that, and we're working with them to get them into compliance. Okay, so this is a homeless encampment we ran into this past year. We were notified by the fire department. There was a tent fire, and we acted swiftly and accordingly with the owner. And as you can tell in the right, they are now into compliance. They have since shredded this area because it was kind of blocked from the public right of way, and now you can kind of see they were taking some of those clothes from the drop off at the mall, and then as you can tell, we from morning to night on that one. Okay, so we also handle the game day parking. If you look to the left, so that GMC is in movement. That Dodge is actually parked, so that was parked in an intersection, and we were able to remove that vehicle. The one on the right is facing and prohibited. Those streets are very, very narrow there in the south side neighborhood. And if we had vehicles parking during game day parking, there would be no way to get down those streets. A fire truck or mail or anything couldn't do that. So we were able to take this over last year from the police department, kind of let them handle other problematic areas and other stuff in the city. So that's our baby this year and moving forward. So we also work with other various departments such as sanitation. We handle the move-in, move-out every year. Multifamily does not pay for bulk pickup. And we hand out flyers and meet with management companies and let them know, hey, you don't pay for this, you need to go ahead and contact sanitation for a fee. So that was one that we were able to make contact. I think we issued one administrative action against them, and they came into compliance, and they've been in compliance ever since. Okay, so we also handle the over occupancy enforcement. We do it proactively and reactively. Currently, we take photos for a 30-day period. We still have to gain access to leases and interviews with tenants, management companies, or owners. Currently, we have 42 open code cases, 19 proactive, 23 reactive. And for the first round of enforcement, we've had 18 citations issued to date.
From when to when?
So from the beginning of the semester in August till this week. And then expansion on the C-Click Fix management. So we were able to upgrade C-Click Fix, and I really wanted to show you these numbers. So now we have prior 2011 to 2022, we had a limited amount of users. So whenever somebody put in a C-Click Fix, it would go to our administrative assistant. They would have to contact other departments, get the information, and then close it out. So when we expanded last year, it gave us an unlimited amount of users. So now it's set up to where if it's a pothole, it goes to Public Works. If there's a park issue, it goes straight to the Parks Department. It's a great line of communication with the citizens and city staff. So if you see you see FY22, we had 1,500. FY23, we had about 2,200. And you've seen how much it's grown since FY 2024. We're currently at 3,200. Now, I will tell you this, just because they put in 3,200 C-Click Fixes don't mean they're all violations, of course. So usually that way we can kind of educate those citizens. A lot of them don't understand what a code violation is. So it opens that line of communication with them.
A lot of duplicative in there as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then also, our code toolbox, so we enhanced our technology to increase efficiency. We went with Tyler Technologies in the ticket writer system, so that's what the fire marshals and the police department uses. So now we're on the same platform. We use iTrackIt, which is a great app on our iPads where we can actually open and close code cases while out in the field. So we're not really in the office as much. We're more in the field handling the problems within the community. So that's it's increase our efficiency. We also use Exxon body cams, same as the police department, so we gain evidence by utilizing those body cams. And then we also use the code mobile mapping application, where when we are in the field, we can look up utilities, customers, owners information, if it's rental, if it's owner occupied. So it kind of helps us increase our efficiency. And that's the conclusion. Any questions?
I'm sure there will be. Ms. Harvell.
Living on the south side, I want to just say thank you. Y'all are out there on home game weekends. Our bulk trash pickup is on Monday. Our city trash pickup is on Thursday. And by Friday, probably 95% of those overflowing cans are still out in the street along with the parked cars. Our code enforcement goes up and down the streets on the south side, knowing that our visitors and our football fans are going to be parking on our neighborhood streets. And they actually pull the trash cans out of the street. So people can, first of all, it makes a good impression when people drive there to park. But secondly, it gets all that trash off the street. And I just wanted to say thank you for going the extra mile, because otherwise I don't know where all of the visitors would park if they were trying to work their way around the trash cans.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I've seen y'all out there early, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Smith, any questions?
I appreciate also the work that y'all do, particularly the things that improve the community's appearance, the weedy yards, the abandoned vehicles, the accumulations of rubbish and trash. I mean, y'all apparently, by my observation, are taking care of those things in a expeditious manner, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Acuna?
Yeah, I think I think your presentation was really good. I think maybe you left out the hero part. It has come to my attention during my time of spending time with code enforcement officers that you're also the heroes. Sometimes when you're doing those code enforcement things, you stumble upon situations where people actually need help, and you all go out of your way to make sure that those people get help. And so I bet, in addition to that picture of the homeless encampment that was cleaned up, I bet you Rainey made some kind of outreach to that individual. Yep, she did, didn't she? She did, because behind so many of these pictures, there's these heroes out there called code enforcement. And yeah, they're doing trash and they're doing cars, but man, they're doing humans, and y'all do humans really well. And so maybe there should be a slide about the hero side of what you do, because that is dang impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yancey.
Thank you, Mayor Nichols. Mr. Schilling, I was interested to see reading the packet before, and I'm glad you called it out here today before our next item. I was surprised to see that out of 3,200 C-Click Fix events, only 80 of those were for damaged interiors of rentals. Is that? Am I
That's
hearing you
correct. Yes, sir.
And what I didn't have was the additional color you just gave, that of those 80, we're really only talking about 5 properties.
Yes, sir. Problematic properties. Yes, sir.
So out of 3,200 C-Click Fix events, we've had 5 rentals reported. Let me ask you this. How long has the populace writ large known that they could avail themselves of C-Click Fix for things that their landlord allegedly wasn't fixing after their request?
Right. So, I mean, C-Click Fix, we've been utilizing C-Click Fix since 2011. But like I said, with the upgrade in 2023, we have tried to push that information as much as we can out to the public. WTAW, What's Up College Station, PubCom, we've worked so hard to get that information out.
What about Texas A&M's off-campus student
Yes,
housing?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have definitely reached out to them, and I think Ms. Debbie is going to handle that a little bit later on. But yeah, whenever we run into those problematic properties, we reach out to them because a lot of it is students, unfortunately, that move into these apartments that look great on photo, and then you move there and it's like, oh goodness, that's not what that photo shows.
So your professional estimation, I mean, those kind of things constitute, they don't take the bulk of your day, or do they?
Well, it depends. Like there is a couple of complexes that take up some time, especially my commercial officer. You know, she's out there for a good amount of time, but it's just handling unit by unit and taking photos and making contact with people. So, yeah, I would say with 2 particular properties, yes, sir, it takes up a good amount of time, or it could.
Okay. And then moving away from that topic, for a couple of years now on council, every time you guys come up, I just look at, I mean, I just can't believe, you just recently added the 6th person, right?
The 5th person.
Oh, 5th. I thought
Yes.
you said you had 4 and 2, total of 6.
No. Oh, I apologize. So I have 5 underneath me, and we have 4 in Northgate.
Okay. So are you staffed adequate to the cause, given all the activity out there? And I know that's a loaded question, and
No, that's actually a great question. I think the last time I gave this update, that same question came out as well. And as a staff, you know, we look at all needs, whether it's fire, police, or code enforcement. And with the availability that we have to utilize Northgate at nights, weekends, even during the day if we need help, we don't feel like we have adequate staff right now, but that's something that we can look at in the near future for sure.
that's a slick answer. If this code enforcement thing doesn't work out, you got a great career.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Tommy. Thank you, Mayor Nichols.
Mr. Maloney, do you have any questions?
No, everyone's covered the bases. Good job. Appreciate your work.
Thank you, sir.
Keep it up.
I do have one person who would like to speak on this subject before I invite him forward. I would like to add my endorsement for the work you do. A lot of those C-Click Fix items, I assume, are water department. For example, what I use it for is when I see water running down the street and it's coming from somebody's lawn. I assume that's included in that 3,900?
Yes, sir.
So there's a lot of those that are street-related, public works-related, and they go now directly to those departments and get a great response.
Yes, sir.
So it's certainly, C-Click Fix covers entire city and not just code enforcement kinds of things that you have to follow up on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The other comment I would like to make is that you and your team are, in addition to the other things people commented on, I think the professionalism is really laudatory. I have heard you on the radio and in other settings explaining what you do. You personally have absolutely the right personality to manage what I think is a very difficult job, leading something that does intrude into people's lives, and some people don't want to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure
Yes,
that you get that response occasionally, but frankly, I think you and your team are doing a wonderful job, and I really appreciate the professionalism that you and your staff put forward. So thank you very much. We may have a question or two after Mr. Dupree speaks, but if you'll step aside, I'll invite Mr. Dupree to come forward. He has 3 minutes and indicated that he wished to speak on this topic.
My name is Fred DePriest. I live in College Park. At the last meeting, we discussed the need for an occupancy disclosure statement or to consider putting one in our lease agreements and sales contracts. And decision was made to delay that until this meeting and this presentation. In the interim, we have looked at the Occupancy Enforcement Alliance has looked at 5 other cities that have some form of that. And we had a presentation we were going to do with that material, and we didn't realize that this meeting was tonight instead of Thursday. So I didn't get that in time, so I'll just make some oral comments and maybe summarize that. The concern that we have was raised by seeing that we still had 14 houses over-occupied in our neighborhood, in the study neighborhood, College Park, this fall. And that's versus 16, so there was virtually no improvement. And what does that mean? What does it say? Well, education didn't work, and we just need to say that. Well, but we're not through. We have an enforcement cycle. We'll have fines. We're citing people. We really won't know how effective the overall program is until November. Our problem is that if we're going to do an occupancy requirement, then it's got to be right now. In fact, tonight, it probably has to start moving tonight to have time to get it in place for the students to actually get that in their contract in the 2025-26 contracts. The reason that we think that education sort of failed is that we taught how many people can be in a house, but we didn't teach the consequences, the process that would be used, or the fines or the consequences. It's hard to do in flyers, and for the public and sound bites. The students know it's a $250 fine, and most of them don't know anything else. That's it. They don't understand the severity of the consequence. The disclosure statement is what other cities are using to park that information and communicate it in a manner that you can do that is not, that's effective. Specifically, how do we measure that you're there? What are the fines? And the fact that you can get hit every day. We're not serving the students by it's serious. It's very serious for them. And we're not serving them by not communicating that it's serious, and the disclosure is the best way we can see to do that. I'll share the data, later in another format. If you have any questions about the conversations we've had with a couple of managers, or the material we've collected, or the risks involved, legal risks, which we think are very manageable, then I'll be glad to answer those questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Priest?
Thank you. Nope.
Mr. Yancey?
Mr. DePriest, where would the disclosure statement, who drafts it, how does it get married to the lease document? Who's responsible for delivering it or making sure that the tenant sees it in your eyes?
That is not something, we visited with 2 code enforcement managers. That is not something we discussed with them. But my imagination is that you make it a requirement, you post it within an ordinance that says you must have this page. The page will have a blank in it that the owner fills in, and we need that now because the students don't know, is it 2, 4, or unlimited? And that's what that blank needs to say, so they do know. But I would imagine that the person renting or selling, and particularly the sales agents, the rental agents, would have that. They know it's part of the standard package in College Station, and that's probably how it's done in most places.
Thank you, sir.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'll
Mr. Maloney?
piggyback on that. When I had rental properties, and my lease, it specified who was living in the house and how many could live in the house. And it's pretty standard in lots and lots of cities in the United States. So that's what it would be. It would say who's living in there, and then you have consequences if you violate. And I had a fellow violate it. He brought in someone else, and I said, no, you can't do that. I said, sure I can. I said, well, look at your lease. He just signed the lease, not thinking, but it needs to be separate. The last page showing you exactly what it is and what the fines would be, or the consequences.
I think altogether in all the examples that we kind of see 5 buckets of information that may be in the lease. 3 are not controversial, simply how many, how's the process work and what are the fines. 2 are. The third, kind of the 4th level of intensity is to require they list the occupants. And there's not a legal problem with that. The one that actually gets concerned is that require the occupants to also sign on that form.
Right.
So we don't need those signatures. We don't even need the names listed now, in my opinion, because we have a civil offense. We're not trying to get something that we could use in court. And if you don't need it to be used in court, then you don't need those 2 things that much. And the other 3 things are just simply wordsmithing and deciding how intense and threatening you want to be in your language a little bit. But to me, it's more how serious is it and how serious do you want the students to know it is before they and the parents and everybody get in trouble.
Yeah. And exactly as you pointed out, since now we have high occupancy overlays, we have middle housing, and then we have the restricted occupancy overlays. So there could be so much confusion out there, because you could say, well, my friend, they're living in a house with 6 people, 7 or 8 people, but they're in a high occupancy area and they're allowed to do that. But in a restricted occupancy, you only allow 2 unrelated people. So I think it's time that we take care of that.
Well, and as you know, the house that is unlimited with the who looks exactly like the house across the street that's limited to 4.
Exactly right. You're good.
It can happen. It happens a lot now.
Ms. Harwell?
Just for the clarification, this would be a form coming from the city of College Station, not College Park neighborhood, correct?
City of College Station in all rental agreements, in our view, and how it's done in other cities and in all sales agreements.
I just wanted to make that clarification, that this comes back onto the city to provide that type of information that you are referring to, right?
A standard form would be required, that exact form with the blanks filled in appropriately.
Yeah, the city's not paying for the form. It's just be part of your lease.
Thank you, Mr. Priest. I appreciate you being
Thank
here and raising that issue. Or the overall agenda item relates to the update on code enforcement. Again, Mr. Schilling, I thank you for making the presentation. Are there other questions or comments regarding that? No, you weren't raising your hand. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for that.
Mayor, I just wanted to say one thing real quick about the discussion that council was having. And we talked about this some last time too. So the city is prohibited from interfering with the private contractual rights of 2 private parties. So we wouldn't pass an ordinance stating that.
Please. Let him
So
speak.
I wouldn't advise that we pass an ordinance stating that 2 private parties must put X in their documents. So 2 private parties can agree to do that on their own, that's one thing, and some landlords and tenants may do that on their own already. But as far as the city forcibly saying, if you don't have this in your documents, you're in violation of this city ordinance, either criminal or civil, I would advise against.
I don't think that was what was asked. I think it was more for informational purposes, but I don't think we're in a position to structure an ordinance tonight or even direct it. That's been your answer all along.
No, I just wanted to make it clear.
I understand, but I think what Mr. Priest is talking about is more additional educational tool, which I think we could bring to bear in the future, but it's not on our agenda tonight, so I will leave it there. Thank you very much, again, Mr. Schilling, and we will move on with the next item on our agenda,